Hey, everyone, and welcome to the episode. I have got a special guest here for you. His name is Rob Goyette, and he works with coaches. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Rob is the creator of the fast revenue laser coaching model, which shows coaches how to add revenue to their bank accounts within 4 days. He's been serving coaches since 2007 and lives with his wife and two sons in Puerto Rico. Rob, welcome to the show. First, I love the 4 days. Second, I love the Puerto Rico. Talk to me about the Puerto Rico first. I want to hear a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. There are tremendous tax advantages for U.S. citizens who are willing to basically bring money onto the island by running a business. That's why we moved here. We love it, and it's sort of we live on a tropical island. It's a great place, and we totally love it here. But the tax advantages are the main reason we moved here initially. And if anyone's interested in that, they can Google the phrase Act 6060 and learn about the advantages.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. I'm a Canadian, so it doesn't apply to me, but most of the listeners are in the US. And so there may be a really interesting thing for them, right? Um, Talk to me about 4 days. Like in your bio, you said 4 days. That is a big deal. So share with me the scoop on that.
Sure. So like you mentioned, I created a laser coaching model, and the model works really well. It's irresistible to clients. It's also irresistible to coaches for many reasons. And the getting paid within 4 days, you actually can get paid instantly, but it takes 3 or 4 days maybe to fall into your bank account. It's an irresistible offer that basically you can get paid for a coaching client without even speaking with the client first. That's how irresistible it is. The refund period or guarantee period is actually the first call. So people pay $1,000 to start working with you, and if during that first call either one of you feels like it's not a good fit, you can return their money. I
Right.
came up with this in 2015. During the first year I rolled it out, I enrolled over 50 one-on-one clients this way and made a whole lot of distinctions along the way and have refined it into a model that works for coaches in any niche.
I love that. And I love how so often the thing that we learn and, sort of what we apply and how we master and how we fine tune everything, how that really becomes one of our primary drivers. And I think that that's different than most corporate jobs. Like normally, if you're in corporate, you've got your role, you stay within your little bounds, you do that job, but you're not required to be innovative and you're not required to say, hey, what is it about this project? What is it about this offer that's really going to make a difference? And
Yeah.
if you started it in 2015, that's a long time ago. Like you're in your 10th year now. So there's the second piece is there's staying power there. And that doesn't often happen. There's been a lot of changes in the industry. Can you tell me? You said irresistible offer. Now, I use the same language, but we all have a slightly different interpretation. What is it about the laser coaching that's so irresistible for people?
So the program is packaged as a full year of unlimited one-on-one 15-minute laser coaching calls. So it's unlimited. It's all you can eat buffet for the client. That makes coaches nervous. For $1,000, I'm offering to coach somebody for unlimited sessions, but there's a homework rule inside the model where a client must do their homework before they can schedule their next call. I was pretty nervous when I first put it out there. I limited it to 8 people because I didn't know what would happen.
Yeah.
But what I found over time is that the average client had between 7 and 8 sessions over the course of a year. A couple of them had like 20 sessions. A lot of them had 1 or 2 or 3 sessions. It's kind of like a gym membership when people join and work out in January, but by October they're not working out as much. So what I found out is that coaches earn an average of $500 an hour using this model. And really, this is a stepping stone to working with clients at a higher level. The laser coaching is a way for them to dip their toe in the water and start working with you. And then once trust and rapport are established, you can, especially if they're not using the laser coaching as much as they thought they did, they're not working out in October, you can say, hey, why don't we take what you've spent on the laser coaching and apply it to a VIP weekend or some higher end offer. It would be like the gym calling you up saying, "Hey, Candy, we noticed you're not working out as much and you paid for a full year in our gym. What if we took all that money and just applied it toward a personal trainer? Would that work for you?" And it's irresistible to clients.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a couple of things that you've spoken about there is you've talked about human nature, like we mean to do the thing. We hope to do the thing. We're so motivated. And then sometimes we just get in our own way, or sometimes life happens, or sometimes we just have the way our brain works hasn't built that habit to stick with something. The piece that you said that really speaks to me is that, I mean, we're coaches. We love people. We're mission oriented businesses, and we never want to leave somebody behind. We never want to do a disservice. And so this is a way of really staying in service with your client as well. I love it. It's great.
Thank you. And I will bring up something a lot of coaches worry about. They say, if I know the average client is only going to have 7 or 8 sessions, they're only going to work out in January, that feels out of integrity to me. And the solution there is to simply explain to clients that the reason the pricing is so low is the accountability is on you, the client, to do your homework and book your calls. If you would prefer to give me a lot more money, I will make sure you're there every week. I'll drive you to the gym in that metaphor.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as you're transparent about the whole thing, it can feel really good and in high integrity.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's everything, right? Because I mean, I work with a lot of newer coaches, and one of the things that holds them back from making offers is this: they're worried that somehow they're not going to be able to provide the value to the client. And they forget that it's a partnership. They forget that, the coach shows up 100%, the client shows up as best they can 100%. And then from that partnership, something new is created. And so somehow the coach gets all twisted and thinks that it's all on them, right?
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. I,
Sure.
I'm a coach. I have a million questions. Okay. um, do you recommend doing a program like this just with general life coaching, or is it better for coaches who have actually some sort of a 3 month or 6 month or 9 month program that they know that there's their framework, they're going to walk people through the framework, but there's these stepping stones along the way? What's your experience with that?
Yeah, it works in every niche I've seen it tried in. General life coaching, it could work, but it is important to have a plan for people. Now, in general life coaching, that first call, and by the way, the first call is 30 minutes to get to know the client instead of 15. And so on that first call, you would come up with the plan. I do teach inside my course about creating, I call it a results model, you call it a framework. But yeah, but having a path and a plan, which essentially lets you and the client be on the same page about the progress. And as your coaching business grows, you can actually bring other coaches onto your team. And if everyone's following the same game plan, framework, results model, it can ensure that clients get consistent results.
Yeah, that's really interesting. This idea about bringing other coaches on. And I was part of a program years and years ago that had this 15-minute call as part of their deliverable, but they didn't do it the way you described. You didn't have to complete homework to book the next call. It was just you had the availability to have one free 15-minute call every single week to help you move towards your goals. And even with that, there was so many people who never took advantage of it. And
Yeah.
honestly, it was the most valuable piece of the program, because then you've got that, your toes are on the line, you're on the start line, you know that you're going to be making progress, and you're meeting with somebody who's really going to support you. That's great. What I've got all kinds of questions, but there's more questions than we have time for. Tell me, what do you see as the biggest benefit for newer coaches with a program like this? This is really different than what I normally teach. And so I just want people to hear that, there's all kinds of ways of having a coaching business, and, different ways are work for different people. So curious about those benefits.
Yeah, the benefit for newer coaches, it's important to know how to get results for a client. So if you're so new that you don't know how to help your clients, you're both going to be disappointed with the results. Although people will probably still sign up because of how irresistible it is, but
Mm.
they're not going to be happy and you're not going to be happy. So it is important to know how to help your clients get results. But if you're a new coach and you totally know how to do it, but you're having trouble actually getting clients, it's such an irresistible offer to clients to start working with you at this price that you can go ahead and start offering it to people. And if you don't know who to offer it to, be really clear about how you help your clients and think about that type of person. And usually the warmer the prospect, the warmer the potential client, that the easier they'll sign up. And so one strategy is to go into your email software and don't like look through all your emails. Instead, look in your sent items folder because these are people you have actually emailed, not all the spam and promotional offers and everything else. Those are the emails that matter, the ones in your sent items folder, and start making a list of all the potential clients you see from people you've reached out to. And when you reach out to them, I suggest you reply to the last email conversation you had in that same conversation so it brings them back into context of their relationship with you.
And then the email isn't coming out of left field, right?
Correct.
So it's not a pattern interrupt, it's part of that conversation. That is really great. And it's also a really great approach. I mean, the type of business that I build and help my clients build is really relationship driven. You have your list of people, you reach out at least monthly, you nurture those relationships. And that's one of the things that for me, podcasts are so powerful is that I get to meet so many interesting people. And from that, create partnerships and collaborations and joint ventures and clients, frankly, right? So, this is a really interesting approach. What have I not asked you that needs to be asked? Let's go there.
Yeah. Well, I think something we both share with our audience of coaches is how to sell their coaching programs. And whether it's laser coaching or any other type of coaching program, even an online course or a book or a mastermind, whatever it is, there are two essential elements, which are trust and then I like to say a congruent, irresistible offer. And if I may, I'd love to go into a little bit of detail on each of those. Would that be okay?
Perfect. That would be
Okay.
lovely. Yes.
Awesome. And you can think about it this way. If a potential client doesn't trust us, they're not going to hire us. And if our offer is not congruent, they're going to be confused, and a confused mind says no. And if it's not irresistible, they're going to resist. So we know those are the elements to help people hire us and say yes. The two levels of trust that I like to share are number one, people need to trust that we're honest. That one's usually pretty easy to accomplish. However, being on video can really help with that. When you're on a Zoom call, looking into your camera to sort of simulate eye contact is much more valuable than actually looking at the person and looking like you're not looking at at them on camera. So,
Yeah.
like maintaining eye contact on a Zoom call by looking into your camera is really helpful. So is nonverbal active listening, meaning like really listen to the client. A lot of people they never get to talk for more than 10 minutes before someone interrupts them. And if you can really listen, that really builds that trust and rapport. And not interrupt them. That's why I say nonverbal. Like I like to give thumbs up or raise a finger if I have a question. So that's part of the trust. But the other trust is really that you are the expert who can help them get what they want. If I wanted to coach pregnant women in their third trimester about how to have an easy delivery, maybe I'm really good at that, and maybe my audience of women, maybe they trust that I'm telling them the truth that I think I can help them, but they don't think I can help them because I'm not a woman. How would I know? The way I would overcome that is by having lots of testimonials and having that framework that says, here's how we'll work together. So you can do it, but it's kind of an uphill battle. Like it's oftentimes better to choose an audience that can most easily trust you, that you really are the expert, you understand them. So that's kind of a deep dive on trust. We could do a deep dive on the rest of it, or we can just continue talking.
Yeah, no, before we go there, and yes, I'd love to do a deep dive on the offer as well. But this
Yeah.
thing about trust is, I think, really important. And it's also one of the areas that coaches are um, really well placed to do because coaches love people and we love to talk to people. And for the most part, we're pretty trustworthy as well. So we already bring that to a conversation. And if you have any coaching skills, if you've done coach training, you bring that ability to listen at a deeper level. And so, for the listeners, if you're thinking, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, like I'm trustworthy, but how do I do this? Just know that you're probably 75% ahead of the pack just because of who you are and how you show up and the skills that you have as well. Do you agree, Rob? Have I missed something
I,
there?
I totally agree. And I'll say one other thing, especially for newer coaches, and that is you may not trust that you're the expert who can help them. You may not have the confidence to know my stuff is going to totally help you. And the way that I overcame that in the beginning is I told myself in my head only that if I did not get results for the clients, I would give them their money back. Now, I never had to do it. And I never said, I never like said, oh, hey, guess what? I'm going to give you your money back if you don't get results. Sometimes that's in a guarantee. But what I'm saying is to give myself confidence, I said, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to try my hardest, really give it my all. And if it fails, I will give them their money back. And I never had to, but I always, that's what gave me the confidence to know that I could at least put the offer out there and try my best to help a client.
I love that. Yeah, that's the inner game, right? The inner game of business is, proving to yourself that you've got the client's best interest at heart. So now let's dive in. We've just got a couple more minutes. Let's dive
Okay.
into the offer because we're doing the fast forward interview today.
All right.
Normally I'm slower. We have a longer discussion. We go deeper on some things, but this is the fast version.
Sure. All right. So it's congruent, irresistible offer. All I'll say about congruence is we don't want people being confused. Why did I click the ad of a woman in a red dress and now that woman's not on the page I went to? I'm seeing a picture of a dog and a cat. We need to be congruent. The subject line of an email needs to match what you wrote in the email. So, but coaches do struggle with that. So it is important. The irresistible offer has two pieces. One is that we need to provide huge value compared to the relatively small price or cost. So, in other words, it needs to be a no-brainer. In business coaching, it's pretty easy. You give me $10,000, I'll show you how to make $100,000. If you trust me, yeah, you'd be very likely to go forward. But the other part of the irresistible offer, and this is one that I overlooked for years, and that is that clients need to understand the inputs and outputs. What is the time, energy, and money they're going to put into working with you? And then what's that very likely result they're going to get? Time would be, for example, your coaching sessions. The energy is the implementation between calls. If I show you how to do push-ups on the coaching call, you have to do the push-ups between calls. That's the energy. And then the money is usually the price. So if they understand the time, energy, and money is going to give them this huge value, you've been congruent the whole way, and they trust that you're honest and an expert, they will say yes, though people have different levels of trust. Some people will trust you a lot more easily, and others, others won't. The lower the trust, the more irresistible the offer needs to be. And the higher the trust, the less irresistible the offer needs to be. But we want to try to be really excellent in both categories.
Yeah, why not make it easy for yourself, right? Why not
Yeah.
be trustworthy, let them know that you're trustworthy, and as well provide something that really has some great value. So you've talked about basically the ROI, but the larger version ROI, not just the money, but the time and the energy to go along with that. And then showing the client the result. And they need to believe it too. Like if you say, hey, if you pay me 10,000 and I'll show you how to make 100,000 and they trust you, they need to believe that they can do it as well. And sometimes that happens within that conversation too, right? What have you got for experience with that part?
Well, it really comes down to trust in you as the expert. Can you help someone like me? So yeah. So whether it's weight loss or relationships, it's like I need to not only trust that you know what you're doing, but that you could actually help someone like me. So I kind of put all that in one category. One thing though that some coaches may struggle with if they're not business coaches is how do I show value in health coaching or relationship coaching? And so what I would say if I was a health coach and I helped my clients live an additional 10 years, in my marketing, I'd probably say that people on their deathbed would sometimes give almost anything to live one more month. and I'm going to show you how to live 10 more years and make the best of it. If I
Wow.
was a relationship coach and I helped men prevent divorce, I might show them the actual cost, the attorney's cost, the losing your house, all the financial costs, as well as the emotional costs, and say, for a fraction of that, I would love to help you prevent divorce. So sometimes we need to really figure out how can we make what we do feel really valuable. And this is where AI can help. You can ask ChatGPT to help you with stuff like this.
Yeah, and so totally on the Chat GPT, or I like Claude. That's my preferred platform these days. But the sort of the takeaway just before we wrap it up is I want the listeners to really hear what Rob is saying in that you don't just slap together an offer and then put it out on the market. You've really got to do your homework, and that homework is it's the foundational piece so that when you do go and make that offer to potential dream clients, you know that you're actually showing them something that really will work, really will help them. And you've done the homework so that they understand. So often coaches want to rush out and do the next fancy thing, the next, shiny object, or what I call the entrepreneur's merry-go-round. They're choosing what horse to go around, but they're just going around in circles. But what you've described, Rob, is so different. It's like this really focus on what the client will get and helping them to see that they can get it, as well as showing up as a trustworthy person. So I'm super thankful that you shared that with me. And by sharing it with me, you're sharing it with the listeners. And I just know that there's going to be lots of people who want to hear more about you and how to find out more about what you do. So could you just wrap up by sharing your website and any other things that they can do to get in touch with you?
Sure, happy to do it. I have an automated webinar, which means you can watch it whenever you like. It's less than 30 minutes. It's a webinar, and my name is Rob, so I've made the domain very easy. It's robwebinar.com. And you'll learn about my laser coaching model. You don't have to buy my course to implement. A lot of people just watch the webinar and figure it out themselves, which is totally fine. I do have a course where I offer a lot of bonuses as well. But if you go to robwebinar.com, you can learn more about me and learn about the laser coaching model.
Thank you so much, Rob. Really appreciate the time.
My pleasure, Candy. Thanks for having me on. And thanks everybody for watching.